You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Welcome back to another edition of Inside Automotive, exclusively right here at CBT News. Joining us now in the studio is Mr. John Fitzpatrick. He is the president and CEO of Force Market. I know you've seen him here before at CBT News, and if you're wondering why he looks like a younger version of me and our names are the same last names, well, it's my son. So John, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah.
Last time we talked, and last time you were in the studio, you talked about the trip out to NADA. You were speaking on a panel. I was there. You did a great job. Talk to us a little bit about that. It was the J.D. Power Summit, right?
J.D. Power Summit, and we had a great panel. We were talking about the EV topic, which is a big one.
That's right.
And
every dealer wants to know what's going on in that area.
That's right. And you know, it's kind of become almost like a political topic inside of auto in terms of where you stand on it.
That's right.
And so anyways, we tried to break that down. We had Michael Berube of the Department of Energy and Mike Stanton and Rebecca from Cars.com and my buddy Chris May from JM&A. And we had a good discussion from different points of view.
Yeah, it really was.
All around, the EV evolution.
Sure.
We're past the revolution, it's the evolution. How are we evolving into this new product?
And there were many different opinions up on that. Not everybody was rowing in the same direction.
Yeah. Maybe even some breaking news, right? Michael Berube kind of shared some things that Mike Stanton didn't realize, and he was like, wait a second, I hadn't heard that yet. And I think that's the whole concept that we were there to, or at least I was there to sort of shed light on is, this is moving at such a fast pace.
Right.
We have gone too far too soon. There's no doubt about it. But that toothpaste is out of the tube, as they say.
Yeah.
So now how are we going to connect with the consumers that are shopping for EVs or considering EVs?
Right.
Are they taking longer in their customer journey to figure out if the EV is right for their family?
Right.
Absolutely. Right? But we can do a good job to educate throughout that process to make sure that our teams at the dealership and in the BDC center is adequately trained to handle the EV questions that are going to come into the department and the product differentiation of, well, what does it mean to own an EV vehicle versus an ICE vehicle? And so I sort of took the standpoint of, the Department of Energy and the head of the NADA can sort of debate on, the government and the incentives.
They're both trying to serve two different elements there, right?
I mean, And then look, Mike Stanton, God bless him, he's got 17,000 new car dealers going. I've got product coming left and right, and I'm not really set up to.
And we don't have consumers banging the door down for them.
Right, and so what I was there to share was that I think the consumers are there, right? I think they may not be quite there for the amount of inventory that's coming. Yeah. But for the inventory that's on lots right now, we can move those by properly connecting with consumers that are searching for them.
Okay, it's a big statement you're making there because there's dealers that are going, wait a second, John.
I know.
We got these.
I know, and they're looking, and as they should, they're looking forward to going, well, we've got 50 more models coming, and we've got all these incentives coming, and look, I think. Obviously, what came up a lot was the charging infrastructure, right? And the sentiment from the consumer that until you've got that infrastructure in place, I don't know that I'm purchasing that. Right. And then the affordability kept coming up. But look, just since NADA in the last 2 to 3 weeks, you're looking at the affordability metrics come down quite a bit. Yeah. And when you think about affordability as not just purchase price, but cost of total ownership.
Yeah, you take out the gas, right?
It's a different conversation.
Right.
Right? So everybody's focused, as they should be right now in today's economy, and with interest rates, but obviously with inflation, you're thinking about month to month. Right. We've got a month to month buyer. Mike Stanton brought this up. But what about the guy that needs to just care about the consumer that's just focused on getting through the month with their monthly payments? Well, the gas tank is a big one, right? And so what the EV offers
is $100 every time I fill up my SUV. Every week, $100. Well, just under. It's like $95.
Right. So Mr. or Mrs. Consumer, take that line item out when you buy an EV, to some degree. Now, there's some charging components, costs, right? But when you look at total cost of ownership, it's a lot more affordable than the public believes it to be. That's the education gap we're talking about. Right. Or at least we're trying to present, is that there may be a way to have a different discussion with consumers around this brand new product. Same thing, we had Stuart get up there, Stuart Strop, from J.D. Power, and he shared some very real statistics about EV charging. 85% of EV charging is happening at the home. Yeah. Wow. So while infrastructure is the top concern or fear, creating pause in the dealership to not buying one, the reality is 85% of the charging is happening at home.
That's right.
So these are things we need to help educate the consumers. And that was the sort of the debate, if you will, on the stage, was the different levels of, the product's here, how do we sell it? More is coming. There's all of this fear and anxiety around.
Share the statistic that you shared up on the stage, which was which was, I think, was an eye opener for many of the people in the audience, which was about the number of people that were searching on Google for EVs.
Yeah, we're monitoring this closely, right?
Yeah.
With all of our partners, right? Google and Facebook and across Amazon partnership with streaming media is, what are the consumers shopping for? And so the data that I shared was 33 million car shoppers went to Google and asked for information about an electric vehicle.
33 million.
December,
right?
Just in December.
Wow.
Okay, that 33 million is up 15% year over year. Wow. So from December 22 to December 23, we're up 15% in total searches. Right. That's in 1 month. Now, last year, we saw that 40% of those searches, 30 to 40% of those searches, I think it's 34% of those searches, okay, had an OEM tied to it. So they're looking for an electric vehicle specific to Ford, specific to Chevrolet, specific to Tesla, right? Well, a large majority of those, 70% last year, the OEM that they were focused on was Tesla. So they're searching for EV, but they're very much searching for that Tesla.
Yeah.
Fast forward 1 year, December this year, of those 33 million, it flipped. 70% of those 40% are searching for OEMs non-Tesla.
Ah, okay.
So what I was trying to...
The interest is growing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've made huge strides just in one calendar year.
Right.
Imagine with new products rolling out, the headlines being what they are, the gas pump continues to be an uncertain for a consumer, right? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Where's it going to go? Well, how about you eliminate it, right? And so that's all. Look, we're not suggesting that we didn't go too fast too soon. We did. We are suggesting that we need to get on board because from what I can see is the government is one part of this in terms of they're really pushing everybody to get out there fast with this EV movement of we want to see so many EVs across the landscape. But the OEMs have already decided to make that move as well. And so the products are coming. They're already here, but they're coming even more. So we need to understand as retailers how to connect with the consumer and make them move. By the way, if there weren't 33 million shoppers, I might have a different viewpoint. I might say, okay, there's something here.
Yeah, the interest isn't
there.
There
really, it truly is no
interest.
But if
you look at the data shows that these people are interested.
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
So a friend of mine went to shop for an EV. Went to shop for a car, but he said EV is at the top of my list, and he went to 2 or 3 different showrooms. Okay, in all of the scenarios where he met a salesperson, the salesperson touched on an EV, okay, and then really directed them to an ICE vehicle. And presented the ICE vehicle in much more enthusiastically than they did the EV. Do you think we got to win the hearts and minds of today's sales professionals out there and desk managers and everything else to say, hey, what if somebody came in on an EV and they want to know about it? It might be more convenient for you because maybe you know the product better. I don't know, a salesperson, but maybe that person needs a full presentation and demonstration and sales presentation about that EV before you go, yeah, we've got them. There they are. Not everybody's coming in on them. Well, let me show you what everybody wants. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are we turning some of those people around and putting them, they're coming in on an EV and we're driving out in an ICE vehicle?
Right. So
I mean, I know I'm painting with a very broad brush so you can save your emails, but do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I think as humans, we go to what we're comfortable with.
Right. That's my point.
And for generations, we've sold a vehicle that operates on gas.
Right.
And so, we know that product better, just naturally.
Right.
And so, and we're also hearing some of the feedback from the service department, which, by the way, the service department has some education of their own to do.
Yeah, of course.
Why are they spending more time servicing an EV vehicle? Because they're learning in real time, flipping through the manual, how to service the vehicle.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a whole nother concept about customer lifetime value that's rooted inside of this new EV product that we were also talking about.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, in a second. But I think you're right, Jim. I think that this education process is from dealer to consumer, but it's also from dealer to team, from manager to team, from OEM to dealer. I think across the board, when we say we've moved too fast, we've moved too fast in every category.
Of course.
Not just building the product, pushing it, incentivizing it.
Yeah.
In all categories, we've moved too fast. And now we're sitting in this moment, this chasm on the bell curve of, okay, now what? Our early adopters are out of the way. Those guys are driving.
Yeah.
More importantly, and this flips into customer lifetime value, the EV buyers are buying, because we're starting to see the data, buying a second EV or a third EV.
Right, which means they like it. They like this whole new lifestyle,
correct,
this new way to drive a vehicle.
That's exactly right.
They're not saying, I'll never buy one of those again.
That's right. When we went back about 2 years ago, we were seeing that these early adopters would, let's say on average they have 2 vehicles in the garage. The first vehicle will buy the EV, but then we'll always kind of have that option.
Yeah.
Well, when you start seeing those garages go from one EV to two EVs and zero ICE, what does that tell you about the ownership of the product?
And then when they buy their son or daughter that's in college an EV, they're feeling that much more confident about it as well.
That's right.
Right?
That's exactly right. And so, I think it goes back to once you have the product, the total cost of ownership becomes real. You start to really understand the savings. You understand the dynamics of how to own it. And look, it probably sounds like I'm an EV, sort of all in EV. I don't drive an EV.
Yeah.
I just know that if the product is there and the consumer interest is there, and they're taking a longer time to shop for it because they need to understand this product. I need, as a marketer, and that's what the lane I stay focused, I need to help bridge that gap.
Yeah. So let's drill down a little bit. I'm a car dealer and I've got a 125-day supply of EVs and I have a 65-day supply of ICE vehicles, okay? Not everybody's coming in. What do you mean, specifically, what do you mean by, from a marketing standpoint, what can I do as a dealer, okay, to market and educate the consumers in my market about EVs?
Great question. First off is working with your marketing vendor or partner or in-house team to really understand the intent that's being showcased from consumers in your hyper-local market. What are they searching for specifically?
Okay.
And making sure that search falls into a page on your site, either by paying for it or organically. I'd like to say organically.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You don't have to pay Google for it. Right? And land them on information that explains what they're shopping for. So, what does it cost to put a charging station in my garage? I would ask the dealer first and foremost, like, let's just go to your website. Does that information live on your website? How about a comparison page of the model segment that you have creeping up in that 120-day supply? What would be the other item that shopper, that buyer, might also search for in the ICE vehicle? Okay. Have a comparison page on your website. Not the OEM site, on your website that explains the difference in total cost of ownership, in how to buy, how to maintain of those two vehicles. Be the educator to your hyper-local market. Dealers have always done a great job of this. And by the way, I'm just scratching the surface off the top.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's a ton more in terms of how to market and provide information online in a meaningful way, both paid and organically, that meet that buyer where they are.
Okay, so instead of, what you're saying is there are some dealers, in fact, I know I've interviewed some of them, that have somewhat sent up the surrender flag and said, I don't know what we're going to do with EVs, so I'm just going to, if people come in, they want to buy them, they want to buy them. I'm not pushing them. I'm going to focus on our core vehicle here, which is a nice vehicle of whatever particular make. And I think that's a big, to your point, it's a big mistake.
Well, how does it answer the now, right? Like, here's what I know. Me and my team at the family of companies we've built, we get the question right now, I need to move these. Help me. Okay? Because every day that any car sits on my lot, it costs me money.
Of course.
And it hurts my bottom line. And I need to move it. Right? And they're also coming off 2.5 years of moving vehicles at the fastest rate in history. Right? Where, their floor plan financing fees were actually the positive and not a negative, right, on the balance sheet. And so I think that
I guess it's
from
too
our
bad
perspective,
that in the industry, we didn't introduce 80% of our inventory EVs in like April of 2020, because people wouldn't have had a choice, right? It's like, this is all that's available. You're going to buy an EV now. Right?
I mean, that's a whole nother, right? We gave Elon a huge head start. And he's just sitting back going, well, you're wondering why I went, as quickly as I did. I was providing a product to it and meeting an interest, and no one else was.
That's right.
I'll give you another one, right? The truck and the SUV category. The truck and the SUV category is still to come, right? We've had some early learnings from the Ford F-150 Lightning. We've had some early learnings, but we've got a great product in Cadillac coming out. We've got great products across Mercedes and Audi and all of these great brands and Volvo. And I'm really interested to see when you start seeing that product more and more on the street, and at the Little League game, they're talking about how much they love it. And by the way, talk to an EV owner.
Well,
just talk to an EV owner and tell me where you think EV is going.
I know.
I haven't found one that's upset with it.
I know.
So that's the other thing.
In fact, they usually brag about it.
They brag about it.
And I've never been I haven't been to a gas station in 3 years, and I drive right by them. I don't have that concern. And also, if you go to California, every other vehicle is an EV, and obviously gas prices are $6, and they give you all kinds of incentives and drive in special lanes and things like that. Other states have set that up. But are you saying then that if really put under a microscope, and if a dealer focuses on this and they focus on moving them and they use some of their ad dollars to do that, it's not this huge giant that's in this huge monster that's in the closet that everybody's so afraid
I see it as an opportunity. Yeah. And let's go back to customer lifetime value, because I really think this is where it's rooted. You want to get on board with EV? Look at your service metrics. Look at the fact that 1/3 of all the cars you sell, you actually service.
Right.
2/3 go elsewhere.
Right.
Yet, we know, the study's been around forever, you're 7 times more likely to sell the second car to that customer if you've earned their service business.
That's right.
Okay. So now with EV, and the EV buyer's conditioned to think the way a luxury buyer thinks, which is, if I buy my car there, and I'm an EV driver, I have to get the dealership to service that vehicle.
That's right.
Right? Okay, so you already got that built in. Now imagine if you jump on top of that and you say, as a dealer, you say, okay, we're going to really have a customer lifetime value mentality with every single EV person, every single consumer we sell an EV to. We want to absolutely not miss this time around, and let's go for 2/3 instead of 1/3. What does that do to the bottom line of the dealer?
It's huge.
Right?
It's huge.
To me, that's a gift.
Right.
Right? That's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's take advantage of that opportunity and let's start in service. Let's ensure that if we sell an EV, we're going to service that EV, we're going to buy that EV back, we're going to put them in the next EV or the ICE or whatever they might choose, right? It may sound like we're flipping, my mindset's flipping to all EV in the camera. It is not, right? We understand it's one product of many that the consumer has to have. But the toothpaste is out of the tube. We've got to jump in. We've got to jump in and get our hands around it as dealers in all of the markets.
Well, I think with the dealers, with the letters that they're writing to Washington and the dealer meetings that are taking place and the discussions at NADA and what have you, is while the toothpaste is out of the tube, I think what dealers are saying is, please don't send us any more toothpaste.
Fair. Let us get our hands around the current.
We are here where we are right now.
That's right.
But we don't want to make the situation worse.
That's right.
Where you continue to send us. So it's everybody's trying to figure it out. As the one dealer that I spoke to a while ago just likened it to home computers. You remember they used to be the size of old TVs, and you ask yourself, what do we really need this for? And then there was dial-up that you had to wait, and then it would be kicked off, and it was expensive, and the whole thing. He goes, and now today, look at your home computer. It's on your hip.
That's exactly right.
You would never think of living a life without it.
That's right.
And that's where EVs, he likened it to EVs.
That's right.
We're all getting excited right now. Oh my God, nobody wants it. How's it going to work? He goes, but now we're, 10 years fast forward, we're going to sit back and laugh and go, what was all the hoopla about?
That's right.
Oh my God.
That's right. To your point, I just saw an old interview with Steve Ballmer when he was the CEO still of Microsoft. You might have saw this, right?
He laughed at the iPhone.
He goes, we sell millions of phones, right? Apple at the time sells no phones. Right. So let's see, right? They've spent more money than ever than product development in the history of phones, right? And now we both have iPhones.
That's right. And he said it was $500. Who's going to pay $500 for an iPhone?
That's right. And then he said, we'll see. Well, we have seen what happens to that. And now I just read a stat, or actually one of our great partners at Berkshire Hathaway Automotive shared with me a stat earlier today on a conference call that Apple's market cap has just surpassed France's GDP.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And why do you think that is?
Wow.
So look, can we make a comparison directly to EV? No, but we can understand that innovation does take time.
Right.
The learning metrics of the consumer to that innovation does take time.
Yeah.
We are past our early adopters, I believe, in EV. We're in that chasm on the bell curve.
Right.
And we're starting to go, okay, how do we transition this thing to be real?
Right.
Time is now. And I think the early movers, like first mover advantage always has, is going to continue in these marketplaces.
Right.
The question I would say is, are you that dealer, or do you want to sit back and wait?
I agree. John Fitzpatrick, President and CEO of Force Marketing. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And yeah, love to do a follow-up with you.
Let's do it.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.